Now, I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro Max for about a month now, and based on my day-to-day use with it, I would say that it's pretty good. Now, the reason why I say that the iPhone 15 Pro Max has been pretty good is because since I've used it damn near every day, I can truly say that it's an overall solid experience. It has a great display, the battery life is superb, the software is smooth, and the build quality is nothing short of premium. And even though it's pretty good, I feel like the only thing stopping it from being great is the fact that it does have some minor problems that I would like to address in this video. So I will not only be giving you my honest opinion on the 15 Pro Max as a whole, but I will also help you guys decide if it's actually worth that $1,200 price tag. But before I do that, I want to give a special shout out to my partners, Tech. Now, Tech is a company that specializes in making premium cases that not only provide an amazing look, but also provide a nice slim feel. And right here, I have some amazing cases that provide style along with that nice clean Apple aesthetic. Now, first, we have this beautiful black case that gives a matte feel. It's very easy to wipe off if it gets dirty, and it has that very nice yet snug fit, and this one is my personal favorite. And finally, we have this beautiful clear case that lets you show off the color of your phone. So whether you have black, natural titanium, or blue titanium, your iPhone 15 Pro Max will look amazing since it's also complemented by a matte feel. Tech also provides a MagSafe magnet to attach to your case, so you won't be missing out on that important feature. So if you want your iPhone 15 Pro Max to be stylish, feel good, and get that nice slim feel, the Tech standard case is the way to go. And if you like any of these Tech accessories, you can find a link down in the description and comment section of today's video. And again, I want to thank Tech for providing excellent style with my 15 Pro Max. Now, looking at the battery, the iPhone 15 Pro Max handled everything very well, especially since I've been racking up as much on-screen time as I could. I've been testing out how long my 15 Pro Max lasts with medium to high usage, and this time around, I'm getting around 7 hours of on-screen time. And just like before, there's rarely times where my phone will die before the day ends. I never had to use power saving mode since the battery was able to last me all day with no problem. And as long as I got up to 7 hours of screen time, I could basically use any power heavy app that I wanted. A majority of the time I was using social media, texting my friends, watching YouTube videos, and playing power heavy games like Call of Duty and Asphalt 9. The Pro Max supports 29-watt charging, which doesn't sound great on paper, but does work pretty good in real life. 75% in 55 minutes was pretty good. And speaking of usage, I was never the type of person to cut any corners to save battery, and my iPhone had all-day battery life, so most of the time I did charge it overnight. And during my time of using the 15 Pro Max, I had 5G on, my brightness was on manual and always medium to high with always on display on, and I'm using every power heavy app as much as I can. And again, I only use power saving mode a handful of times, so if you are someone who likes to charge your phone mostly overnight, you should be good no matter how much you use your phone. Now, the next thing that I wanted to look at when it comes to the iPhone 15 Pro Max is the design and build quality. Now, when it comes to iPhones, I feel like they've always had the best feeling phones when it comes to quality. And despite the minor overheating issue, when it comes to the soft all-around feel, it really doesn't disappoint. The 15 Pro Max had this very rounded frame, but when you hold it, it complements the hand much more than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And I'm holding my iPhone for hours on a day-to-day basis, so its weight and rounded corners balance each other out. And also, speaking of weight, the 15 Pro Max feels much lighter due to having titanium sides, which is lighter than the stainless steel. It weighs in at 221 grams compared to the 14 Pro Max's 240 grams, and it still feels very premium. And I'm the type of person who does like heavier phones, and the 15 Pro Max still maintain that premium weight. And now when it comes to aesthetics, the Pro Max has really mastered that Apple clean yet simple type of style. It's very similar to older iPhones, which is great since it always works. And the design is very minimalistic, which really improves the aesthetic. And even using it with the case, the iPhone has always had aesthetically nice cases that become the true identity of your iPhone, so you really can't go wrong. Now looking at display, the iPhone 15 Pro Max has a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR display that is my favorite in terms of quality, brightness, and features. The pill-shaped notch isn't the greatest in terms of spacing when watching videos, but whenever using it regularly, I found the whole aesthetic of it to be favorable compared to the old school notch. Everything on the display felt very sleek, and I still think that the 15 Pro Max mastered the balance between sharpness, accuracy, and quality. And as far as durability, the Pro Max has ceramic shield on the display, which is still pretty terrible when it comes to scratch resistance. It does handle cracks very well, but again, just like the Pixel 8 Pro, it is prone to scratches, so be careful and get a screen protector. But besides the shaky durability, it's very sharp, premium, and punchy when it comes to colors, but it also knows not to overdo it. The brightness is the same as last year's 14 Pro Max, which is good, and if you're outside with the 15 Pro Max, it can reach up to 2000 nits of peak brightness, and there are extremely sunny days where I live, and whenever I max it out, I had no problem seeing anything. And another thing that I like about the display was the 120Hz refresh rate that Apple calls ProMotion. It complemented iOS very well, and it also feels much smoother and sleeker than other phones. Watching movies and content on this phone is amazing. The dual speakers creates a really great experience when it comes to sound, and the whole experience is honestly one of the best in the market. And now the last thing that I wanted to touch on when it comes to the display is the Face ID, and again, it works very well. I use Face ID at night, I used Face ID when the lighting wasn't right. And again, year after year, the iPhone has the best facial recognition in the game. And now when it comes to my problems with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I would say that just like my last video, I pretty much have the same problems. There's still no SIM card slot, which makes it very hard for me to change between phones, especially since most carriers make it as hard as possible. The 15 Pro Max still has focusing issues, like whenever I try to shoot the side of a phone, it'll be often very blurry and really can't focus unless I put my fingers in it, and I didn't have this problem with the iPhone 12 Pro. But besides that, the 15 Pro Max has been a pretty great phone, and ever since the update, I haven't experienced overheating, and it's been an overall solid experience. Now moving on to camera, the 15 Pro Max is pretty much the same as last year. It has a 48 megapixel main camera along with a 12 megapixel ultra wide and a 12 megapixel telephoto camera that is the best in my opinion. Now in my opinion, iPhones have always been the most realistic in terms of color. Like the colors are always toned down, and you can tell that the software within the photos is really good. The Pro Max's zoom photos are pretty good as well. I found the ultra wide photos to be acceptable but not the greatest, but as soon as you zoom in more, the pictures add much more detail. And I also took some pictures of different modes. You have standard mode, which is the most realistic. You have rich contrast that adds a lot of color. You have vibrant, which brightens up the photo. And then you have warm and cool, which serves as pretty good filters. Selfies on the 15 Pro Max were the best in the smartphone market. I love how it handles my skin tone. I love how it looks realistic while also adjusting little details. And I've always been a fan of iPhone selfies, and again, this time is no different. Now the videos on the 15 Pro Max were amazing despite the minor problem that I mentioned earlier. There were many things that caught my attention, but overall the clean professionalism stood out the most. You can shoot videos up to 4K, it looks really good, and even though it takes up the most space, I think that the quality really stood out. Stabilization was solid, pans were very smooth along with brightness and contrast, and the sharpening is still very good. And I want to give you guys some of my random footage that I was able to capture with my 15 Pro Max. And alright you guys, that's it for my review on the 15 Pro Max after 1 month. It has gotten better since the last time I reviewed it, but it still does have a lot of room to improve, which is why I say that it's pretty good. And let me know down in the comments, would you consider getting the iPhone 15 Pro Max? And if so, why? And again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Peace.